This may be where it gets a little weird. And you're going to be like, Phil, you've cut your carbs too low. You need to have a carb, dude. What you want? What you want? What's up, YouTube? FatKings Phil coming at you for my week 284 update from vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which I had back in July of 2013. Details are below. This will also serve as my 2018 year in review, 2019 goal setting video. I may split this because every time I make this video, and it's been like 6 times now, which I got perfect last time, but the microphone was not correctly placed. I end up running about 20 minutes, and that's not acceptable for somebody 5 years out. So we're going to try and tighten this up a little bit. Practice makes perfect, right? Okay, so let's get the details for those of you that are just here for the regular update. This is a shocker to me. I weighed in this morning at 225.4. So my goal, oddly, one of my big goals from last year was to reach that number, but I've kind of given up on that number, to be honest with you. Not because I didn't think it, not because I'm like, oh, I'm never going to get it, but no, like, I'm like, no, wait, it's irrelevant. Like after I saw the pictures of my body at almost 230 next to pictures of me at 214 from several years ago, and even compared to my 228 last year, I'm like, I look really good. Like, I mean, like my body is way leaner than I was even last year. It looks more like 214, just more muscular. So, and you guys have seen the video, so I'm sure you already knew this, but like I'm much more at peace with that piece of my body, or my journey right now, rather. Okay, so that's where things are at today, and I'm pretty excited about that. I hit my 171st workout today. I was shooting for 200 for the year, but I think I started a little late. Most of those, though, were between June and now, because there is 2 phases to 2018 as far as I'm concerned. There's pre-June and post-June. And then, and both of them are actually really good in different ways. Like there is not a downside. There is a low point. There is a moment, but it was a catalyst. It was a launching board. So, and if you're here for something salacious, regarding that time frame, you're not going to find it. And maybe I'll make more sense why when I get there. So, all right, let's talk about big goals for 2018. Finish draft 1 of my second rom-com script. Certainly not my second movie script, but my second one. Get back to my pre-injury fitness level. And I had a number around my weight, about 215 to 225. So hence why I mentioned the 225. And then get a plastics consult. So of those, I did 1. And I have very good reasons why I didn't do the other 2. I did get back to my pre-injury fitness level and smoked that, went way past it. I am at a fitness level I have never been at. I'm not bragging, and I'm not one to brag. I'm not one to even or normally acknowledge my successes. But I am going to acknowledge this one because I am amazed by the stuff I pulled off this year. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the post-June section here. Some other things I achieved this year, huge for me. I set out to ski 4 times this year. My daughter and I did that. I got to go to New Orleans, Boston, Tahoe, New York, Mexico. I got to do that with people I really cared about. I got to share those experiences. It was amazing. And again, I'll talk about that pre-June. I'm not going to divide these up right now because it'd be too complicated. My daughter and I got to do horseback riding. We got to do zip lining. There's no way I could have done that at 360. I think back on all the years of the things I have in this short-term list, and I'm like, there's no way I could have done these at 360, 332. It just wouldn't have been possible. I could have done horseback riding technically, but poor horse, and it's hard to ride a draft horse. They're very wide. I went snowmobiling with my son a couple weeks ago and muscling those machines around. I saw a guy out there in our group who was a big guy. He couldn't even zip. Oh, I felt so bad for this dude. He couldn't zip the ski bib closed because he just had too much girth in the front. And he was out there having a good time, or at least putting on the show. But I know in my gut exactly how I would have felt when I was exactly in his shoes. So it was a sobering reminder of where I came from. I wasn't judging him. I just was remembering. Some other things I did, silly little things like I organized my kitchen. I condensed all my movies. I condensed all my books. I changed banks, which was actually kind of a big deal. Finally getting away from the Wells Fargo and into a credit union where you're actually a member and they have reasons not to screw you over. I ended up getting my daughter's passport, which was one of my goals, to get her passport all secured. And ironically, I had to do that for Mexico. But ironically, that paid in dividends as we talk about the post-June stuff. So that's 2018 in a quick recap. From the goals perspective, let's talk a little bit about pre-June and post-June. I think this is the part where I struggle a little bit because I'm trying to be super positive about it all. But there is a turn in the story. So, as you guys know, Lauren and I were dating the first half of the year. We did most of the things I mentioned we did together. It was super awesome. I have great memories from that. I treasure them, those experiences with her. They were great. I mean, especially the New York meet and greet, visit her out in Boston. And when we went to New Orleans, it was just a lot of fun. We had fun. We're just our normal selves with our normal people. Before we were dating, we've been friends for a long time. Like okay, this is where it gets a little weird. I've loved Lauren before I was in love with Lauren, and I still love Lauren, like in a very different way now. I mean, it's not a bad thing. There's no bad side to this. If anything, I am super, super happy that she's found whatever great things that we had in our relationship and the things that we're missing. So I wish her nothing but the best, and I want her to be happy. I mean, why wouldn't I? Duh. I want that for me. Why wouldn't I want that for her? So, okay. So, and that's all I'm going to talk about that other than just where the things kind of turned. So I think Mexico was our last big trip for pre-June. It actually happened in June, but a bunch of us went down to Mexico. Lauren, myself, took my daughter. We met up with a ton of our WLS friends / just our regular friends now, because it's been 5 years and we're all just friends now. It's not just related around our weight loss. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of things. We had a big enough group where we could split into smaller groups and go do stuff. If somebody didn't want to do something, they didn't have to go. So if they wanted to go, great. My daughter had a blast, swam with dolphins, got to go to the Zenotes, got to hang out with Gracie's daughter and Tanya's kids. It was just, it was an upside, pure upside. And let's talk a little bit about where I was starting my personal growth in that early part of the year. So I had been seeing a counselor to kind of deal with some mental, emotional stuff that I had coming off my last relationship when I was with Emmy. Certainly not about Emmy, but about me. Some things I noticed that coming out of that relationship, I didn't want to carry forward into other relationships. And I think that, I was making good progress up to that June point. It's a learning process. It's like kind of like going to the gym. You go in, you pick up some heavy stuff, you do it a bunch of times, you go home, you practice it a little more, you come back, you ramp up, you pick up more heavy stuff and you keep going. So it is fatiguing. It's emotionally fatiguing. It can put a strain on all relationships. I'm not sure how much of that played into my romantic relationship, but regardless, I felt that strain for sure. I just did myself. Then coming to that June point where we got back from Mexico and we got a chance, Lauren and I got a chance to talk after Mexico. We decided that after that conversation that it would be best if we just went back to being friends. And that's kind of where we parted ways for a while and kind of gave a little space so that we could readjust back to that lifestyle. Obviously things changed very much post June for both of us in very different ways. But I will not talk about anything other than what I went through at that point, because at that point we were separate entities completely beyond just being friends from a distance. So that's all the talk you're going to get about that. So if you're hanging in there for more, you can go ahead and leave. All right. So moving forward from there, I decided at that point, okay, you've just made there's been a big change. It's obviously not a happy thing. It was a little bit sad, a little bit heartbreaking, but is that how you want to deal with this? Because right now you're not in the strongest spot you've ever been. You're not physically in the best shape you've ever been. You're not bad, but you're not in the best. You're emotionally still doing a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of work. Mentally, you're making progress, but it's been kind of slow and kind of where do you want to put your focus? So at that point, I decided, okay, I'm going to remove myself from the dating pool completely. And I'm going to focus 100% on me and the stuff I want to get taken care of and addressed so that as I move forward in life, I am sure that I am not letting old habits and old reactions from past damage impact future interactions with even friends, but especially going into romantic relationships and potentially in the future. Because I do think that is kind of more a weak spot for me, or has been a weak spot for me. So I leaned in hard I leaned in really hard to the gym. I leaned in really hard to eating well. I leaned in really hard to an emotional growth in the counseling office, and I leaned in really hard to a mental growth in the arena of just filling my brain with things like Tanya turned me on to the audiobook, Unfuck Yourself. I ended up listening to a bunch of motivational is an interesting word, motivational speakers. I guess you could put them in that category. A little off the beaten path, a little bit different mentality around what it is to be male, what it is to be female, like the dynamic between male and female interactions and relationships and expectations in modern society versus old society. And just like feeling, not that I was specifically focusing around relationships per se, but just like dynamics of people, why people do what they do, why women tend to do things a certain way, why men tend to do things a certain way, what social conditions have brought about those, what genetic conditions have brought about this, like just consuming, all of these things so that I could kind of get these things to chew on in my brain. And I would do that while I was working out. So I would be listening to podcasts, listening to audiobooks while I'm working out. So I'm building my body, I'm building my mind, I'm getting those two things in sync so that my body is in sync with my brain and I'm not overthinking other things and in a kind of a risk analysis way, but I'm trying to learn while I am also building my physique. So that kept me going pretty hard. And it got to the point where I started craving the gym for the mental release more than the physical release. So let's talk a little about the physical though. So I set a goal to just move the weight up. I did 5 days a week. Each day I did a different muscle group. And each week I moved one of those groups up in weight, but it would take me 5 to 6 weeks to rotate through all of them. So if I moved up legs, let's say on week 1, well, I'm not going to move legs up again until week 5 or week 6. So that's kind of how that went. And what that got me to was I remember I had injured my shoulder. So I had gone back to the gym and slowly worked my way back up. So when I started the bench, I was benching 135 to start with. By the end of the year, I'm benching over my body weight. I'm benching 235 by myself, 4x6. I'm not bragging. I'm saying I'm super proud of that. That's crazy to me. Nuts. Better yet, I started being able to do 4x5 sets of pull-ups, body weight, no assistance. Started at negative 70 pounds, worked my way up to that. And I did it over a year. I made it long and slow on purpose, and I grinded slow. Biceps, triceps. I mean, yes, I've moved the weight up. Nothing, I think, this crazy impressive. And that's one of my harder to build muscles. My chest, the same way. I've been, even though I can bench that much weight, been trying to build that muscle. But man, this is the first time in my entire life, and I'm sorry if this sounds like bragging, but I can look in a mirror and be like, I kind of like what I see there. I'm like, I'm not thrilled with the midsection part where that loose skin is, and there's just nothing I'm going to be able to do to get rid of that through diet. It's going to have to be surgery. I mean, even if I leaned it down, even if I cut body fat a little more, just scraped away another 2-3% body fat, it's just going to make it worse in a lot of ways. So short of spending $10,000 and taking 6 weeks off work, I don't think there's any way around that. And we'll talk a little bit about where I landed on that too, or where I may have landed on that. And just continuing. So if I'd made progress like this to June, at June, I felt like I did this. I just started ramping up exponentially. And the more open I was to kind of connecting the dots and listening to, this may be where it gets a little weird. You're going to be like, Phil, you've cut your carbs too low. You need to have a carb, dude. Stick with me. It's not for everybody. I started listening to the universe. The universe started dropping things in my path to see if I'd pay attention. And I started connecting the dots. And it's the more I pay attention, the more I see the connections. It could be something as simple as like, I'll give you an example. You say you're deciding, hey, I think I really want to buy a blue Honda Civic. I don't know why I'm just pick that. You start seeing blue Honda Civics everywhere because you're paying attention to them. So when I'm paying attention to these higher minded ideas and these higher concepts, all of a sudden they start popping up in different places. Like I'll listen to an audiobook and I'll be minding my own business. And then I'll see a podcast pop up that's talking about that same topic. Oh, that's weird connection. And then 2 days later, I'll have a conversation with somebody and they'll bring up something that's related directly to that. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, the universe is trying to tell me something. I'm listening. And so I would get these disconnected ideas that were out there and kind of floating around, like, how do these all come together? I'm struggling to get them all together. I'm struggling trying to figure out how they work. And then the analogy I've been using is the Tetris analogy. So all these stuff, imagine all these things floating out here like the rows. And you've got all the rows stacked up and you're just waiting for that. You're waiting for that 1x4 that you can turn sideways, slip down in there and drop 4 rows at once. All of a sudden something would come along or someone would come along, connect that dot, and boom, the 4 rows would drop and I would be like, I'm there. I get it. Oh my God, that was so obvious. Why didn't I see it? And then I would move on to the next thing. And I've just continued to do that. And as I've done that more, and as I've started vibrating at that frequency, and this is where it gets a little spiritual for me, but like, energy is energy, right? You can't be destroyed. And there's different frequencies that things vibrate at. And I feel like when you're in tune with those vibrations, people on like vibrations will see each other, notice each other. And people have come into my life, even as recently as like a month, where they have just come on my radar in a big bad way. Like I'm talking like, hey, dummy, pay attention to this person. They have something to teach you. There's something special here. And it is a feeling I cannot explain it. It's a gut feeling. And I'm like, okay, universe, I'm listening. Where's the lesson here? What are you trying to show me? What are you trying to show me? This humility of just kind of surrendering, which for me is nuts. I mean, go back and watch 5 years worth of videos. I'm a control freak. I set a goal, I go after it. And as soon as it's done, check, move on, next goal. Look at my goals for this year, my big goals. I got 1 of 3. Normally I'd be beating the shit out of myself about something like that. I'm thrilled with that because the things I did not expect were the things I did the most growth in. So that's been 2018 for me. And I am feeling more centered and more blessed than I have ever before, and more okay with me and more proud of me than I've ever been. I've started to give myself a lot more grace. I don't view myself as much. I want to continue doing this work. I want to just continue doing this work. Maybe this is the middle phase. Maybe I'm in this euphoric middle phase. I don't know, but I don't care because it's working. And I just want to keep doing it. So let's talk a little bit about my 2019 goals. It's a good time to transition, right? So I'm going to maintain my fitness plan and I'm going to start adding in HIIT. I want to do HIIT 3 times a week. Am I going to start 3 times a week? Hell no. I'm going to do it 1 time a week for 6 weeks. And then maybe I'll add a second day and I'll do that for 6 weeks. And maybe I'll add a third day then. If I can get to 3 times a week, cool. I'm going to add that on top of the weightlifting if I can. It may take longer if I can. I will. It'll be a matter of time. How fast I can do it is the question. I'm going to continue this emotional and mental growth. And this leveling up. It really does feel, it is, for me, it's leveling up. It's not me being better than somebody else. It's leveling up for me, by myself, for myself, and supporting I want to support other people who are leveling up. And I can see it. I see people. Again, even as recently as a month ago, I met somebody that came on my radar that was like, man, this person is on the verge of just taking off like a rocket. I know it. I can feel it in my gut. I can't tell you why. There's just something there. There's something, as I am as certain as I am that the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And that's pretty certain. So, but for me though, part of that leveling up is to do more action. So I've done a lot of academics and I will continue my academics. I will continue my emotional work, which is actual action, but I want to put more of these things into practice and test some of my old weak spots with some of these new concepts, like put myself in those environments, see if those old triggers come on, if I can handle them in the new way, and then evaluate and, iterate, as we do in my professional life. We call it iterating through things. So, yeah. And I do want to get back to finish that first draft of that second rom-com I'm writing. I think I can emotionally free up enough bandwidth to do that. It's a very emotional process for me to write. And I've been so emotionally focused elsewhere that I'm not going to beat myself up over that. But it's on there. If I get 2 of the 3 this year, wow, that would be awesome. If I get all 3, great. Short term, real quick, welding class with my son. We wanted to do it last year. It didn't happen. It's going to happen this year. I'm definitely going to be going to Disneyland here. I love Disneyland. I'm going actually in a couple weeks. Mel and her kids are flying from Australia. We're meeting there. We're going to Disneyland. Then we're spending some time out here, touring around Colorado so she can get to see my world since I've gotten to see her world twice. And I got, because of some of the leveling up I did last year and some of the opportunities the universe threw my way, I got to take my daughter to Australia last year and give her the trip that she's always wanted. Like, it just lined up. Like, it was almost effortless. Like, it just, all the things that happened, good, bad, and indifferent, put me in the spot where I could say yes to their spring trip. Just on a short-term notice. Like, I could just, the tickets all lined up. The prices were good. The timing was good. It's just nuts, man. It's just nuts. And I want to be open to that. So, as I move forward, but I'll get that in a second. So definitely do skiing again. We're going to do snow tubing when the Aussies are out here for sure. Let's see. I want to go to Vancouver. I want to go to New Orleans again this year. Spend some time with Tanya and John and take my daughter with so that she can spend time with Tanya's kids, which they had a great time in Mexico. So it'll be good time to go again. The New York meet and greet again this year for Instagram would be fun. I think I really want to do that. I'm on the fence about that one. I got to wait and see. That one's going to be, the universe is going to determine that one for me, I think. Destin, Florida, I think is another one for summer trip. And then I have a friend's wedding I'd really like to go to. My big challenge right now is I did my math on my remaining days off at work. And after my little Disney/Colorado adventure here in January, I'm going to have 6 paid days off. So, and I only accrue one every 2 weeks, which is pretty good. But I have so many little trips in between that I keep knocking them off. So like I'll gain 2 and then I'll lose 2. I'll gain 2, I'll lose 2. So that's going to hurt me when it comes to the bigger trips as I go later into the year. So we'll see. The universe will determine where I'm supposed to put my time. But these are my big goals. So there's some other big stuff I keep on my long-term list, and I know you can't see it in the board back there, but there's an orange column for short-term, a green column for long-term. Things like, Scotland, Maui, World War II European trip. I mean, if I got opportunity to do those things, I'd love to do them. I'm not hardcore planning any of those right now. I'm toying with Scotland a little bit, but again, it's gonna be a universe thing. And then I've got a new column. I got a blue column up there, and it's called LFTU, which is Lessons from the Universe. And this is where I'm just gonna write down opportunities that I got just by not trying to be a control freak and listening to the universe and seeing what opportunities fell in my lap. And good, bad, or indifferent, however they end. I'm going to put them on there because that's my new lesson for this year. So, all right, guys, that is going to bring us to the end. I'm sorry, I can't make this video any shorter than 25 minutes, it seems. I've tried 7 times now. I'll try and edit it down maybe to 22 minutes, but we'll see what we can do. All right. I hope you guys have a great 2019. And, man, I wish you all success on your own leveling up, your own journey. And thank you for being so supportive over these 5 years, and for continuing to be supportive. And again, if anything I bring to the table has helped you, it was my pleasure to pay back. I really do feel that way. So that's it. Checking out. You guys have a great night. I will be home chilling out for New Year's Eve, but that's okay. My kids are all out doing their thing, and I got to pick them up later anyway. So, or at least my daughter. So, all right, guys, until next time, remember, it's good to be the king.